Hello, everyone. This is a reading from a book called On Being Love's Warrior, a Warrior's Manual, Becoming the Compassionate Warrior Within. It's by Kendall Ronan, and it was written several years ago near the beginning of the millennium. I'm going to be reading this over a long period of time, introduction and chapter by chapter, so that you can listen to it, and perhaps you'd like to buy a copy and go along with it doing the exercises, reading the lecture series, and thinking for yourself about what it means. And so we're going to start with the introduction. This book is a manual on how to become a warrior of compassion. Within it lie the teachings of the Diana Sarah Wellness Center's Warrior of Compassion Guild. From these teachings, you can learn to develop clarity of mind and to reclaim your own identity instead of the one that society has assigned you. You can reclaim your own life while living in the midst of a world that often tells us that we are hopeless, helpless, and powerless, while it is telling us at the same time that we can be anything that we would like to be. Somewhere deep in our hearts, if we are wise, we often know that we can never be good enough for everybody. Success in the world's way still won't make us good enough, and we won't measure up to the society's expectations unless we become rich and or famous, and then we will be criticized by someone higher on the ladder. That is why it's necessary to begin to accept ourselves as we are and to heal our self-images. By partaking of the lessons and the exercises enclosed in this manual, you can become a healing agent for yourself, your family, your community, and a world that has been split right down the middle. The split that I'm referring to is actually only a perceived split. The perceived split is one between spirit or spirituality and matter, mind and body and heart and head. This split, however, is a very unnatural split. It has been created over time because of fear of the unknown and the need to be able to explain how the universe works so that everything can be controlled. Become a warrior of compassion and you will step out of the madness. You will then be able to heal the tear in the fabric of our thinking and help humanity re-enter the evolutionary process in order to become a higher, more adaptable species. In order to begin to heal the split between science, the arts, religion, spirituality, and the either-or mentality that has developed, we must firstly unseat the God dualism. The process begins as we begin to realize that dualism has its place when it comes to control and manipulation of various objects and people. It, however, contributes little when it comes to dealing with relationships and working to heal the broken world and all of our broken relationships. It is time to begin to reclaim our own scattered parts and to reclaim our own identities rather than accepting those given us in a consumer-driven society. It is time for us to reclaim the ancient warrior archetype and to understand the true meaning of the concept that underlies most of the religions in the world, the idea of compassion. This book is an attempt to instruct the reader This book is an attempt to instruct the reader on the application of exercises and practices that can reawake the warrior of compassion that dwells within us It is not meant to take the place of psychotherapy or a counselor. It's more than a book. It is a manual that provides the reader with the tools and the opportunity, if he or she will work hard through each monthly session, to become a true warrior of compassion. The book is written as wisdom literature. At the beginning, there are well-documented, academically prepared essays with footnotes available for further reading. The rest of the book is deduced from the foundational opening essays. The ideas are either paraphrased or deduced through the use of logic and philosophical inquiry, tradition, intuition, and or experimentation. These were the 4 ways of learning during the Age of Enlightenment in Europe. As with all new programs, we recommend that you consult with a physician before doing the physical exercises at the end of each study. All exercises do not work for all people, even though anyone can become a warrior. When I speak of a warrior, I am speaking of something different than a soldier. Richard Heckler gives a very good explanation in his book In Search of the Warrior Spirit. There is a certain legacy that distinguishes the warrior from war. He writes, "The sacred path of the warrior is part of an ancient moral tradition. It included the Indian warriors Krishna and Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Homer's hero Odysseus, who outwitted his opponents rather than slaying them, the poor 16th century Japanese samurai, who in his finest hour administered a peaceful government while still maintaining a personal discipline and integrity through not only martial arts, but through the fine arts of calligraphy, flower arranging, and poetry. It includes American Indians who lived in harmony with the land and whose ritual wars were exercises in bravery rather than slaughter. The Shambhala warrior of ancient Tibet, who applied power, virtues to the spiritual development, and Carlos Castaneda's celebrated warrior shaman Don Juan Matus. These historical and mythic warriors found their strength and integrity by defeating their own inner demons, living in harmony with nature, and serving their fellow human beings. I believed, and still believe, that if we embody the virtue of those archetypal warriors, we are acting in support of the whole planet instead of constantly fighting external enemies for petty ends." That's the end of his edition. The warrior that Heckler speaks of in this instance is one who works to bring forth and sustain the lives of others through his or her action instead of destroying others mindlessly and bringing forth death. The warrior is impeccable. He or she is not just a cog in a machine who follows orders without question. He or she is a living entity who is part of a larger organism called Earth and Cosmos. He or she is connected. He or she is a self-thinker, one who feels. It is this type of warrior, the impeccable warrior, who works to make the world a more kind and beautiful place. Arian Angeles reiterates the necessity of being a true warrior. She writes, "The warrior must also understand and be aware of the causes and effects of actions taken or not taken. The capacity of attention is called responsibility, the ability to respond. The Chinese books of changes, the I Ching, reminds us that it is not the event that is important. It is the response to the event that is everything. Our ability to respond impeccably and with integrity to the events we create bring us into the warrior's arena. This aspect of responsibility is discipline. Discipline is the process of facing life directly and taking action without aid." Thus is the end of her reading. This means taking responsibility for our actions in a culture that tells us that we don't have power or that we are totally helpless. In some instances, we are told that it is clever to just roll with the punches. Many of our religions tell us to wait until we die and go to heaven. The media tells us to grab all that we can and that we are worthless if we do not have enough. Being a warrior of compassion means standing up for one's own belief system and one's rights, as well as the rights of the community. It means walking in the spirit of compassion. The original meaning of compassion in the biblical sense is to do justice, love mercy, and work humbly with one's God. In a spirit named compassion, Matthew Fox speaks of compassion as the only cure for this broken world. He writes, "To be compassionate is to incorporate one's own fullest energies within cosmic ones into the twin task of relieving the pain of fellow creatures by way of justice making and celebrating the existence, time, and space that all creatures share as a given from the only one who is fully compassionate." Compassion is our kinship with the universe, and the universe's maker. It is the action we take because of that kinship. He speaks of compassion as a way of life, as opposed to a religion. What is the difference between a way and a religion, he asks. I believe that a way of life or a spirituality is the living that spiritual people engage in, whereas religion is what empires need to sustain themselves. The end of his statement. This is a new time. It is a new millennium. In order to reclaim what has been lost, to reclaim stolen stories, to reclaim stolen identities, to strengthen ourselves and to reclaim our creativity, the arts, music, and all things that we have given up that provide us with the opportunity to connect with the divine and to strengthen that small, still voice within us, we must become warriors. Warriors of compassion fight the true enemies, the inner enemies of fear, of hatred, of anger, and of self-deception, and the external enemies of mental and emotional manipulation, deception, and oppression, in order to live lives of integrity and to live as the creative beings that every human being is meant to be. This is the introduction. At a later date, we will be starting on study number 1. As I said before, if you are interested in this type of thing, you may want to purchase the book by Kendall Ronan at iUniverse.com on Being Loved Warrior, a warrior's manual on becoming the compassionate warrior within. You may want to follow us. We'll put these up early on our Patreon, which you can find on our website, and you may be interested in our life coaching that can help you obtain and reclaim the warrior spirit within. We will follow along with you as you do each study and do the exercises, talk with you, make sure you're doing the exercises correctly, and answer any questions you may have. Thanks for being with us. Namaste.